start in the back, Matt.
Those 2 4th-down calls inside the 10, why were they the calls that you made?
Yeah, we felt, that was an opportunity for us to, get a touchdown. A touchdown changes the game. And obviously, we're probably not talking about if we get a touchdown. That being said, the one before half is one where you really can go back and say, let's take that field goal. And it's something I'm going to assess, go evaluate for me. And we checked to see if we liked the look. We liked the look before we ran the play. We had a timeout if we didn't like the look. We liked the look, and we just didn't execute.
Front middle, Alec.
Felt like Triquez, when he came in, when Julio got hurt, did a really good job on Dean's up until that last drive. What, just with as far as playing time this year, what gave you the confidence there to rely on him and for him to step up like that?
Yeah, we talk about strength in numbers a lot, and I thought there were several guys that stepped up. We got banged up a little bit there throughout the game, and we had guys that had to come in with limited reps and go out there and perform, and Triquez is one of them that fought and battled till the very end.
Front middle, James.
Dan, 2:11 to go. Why go for it there instead of punt? What was the thought process, and why ultimately choose to go for it?
Yeah, we felt like our defense was playing well, and we felt like we had an offensive play that was going to be successful. They covered it well, but at that point, they've proven to be an explosive offense regardless of where they get the ball, right? Whether it's going the length, obviously they went there, twice in 33 seconds. They were able to score, gave ourselves the ball back with plenty of time to go score again. We know that honey hole for us is really a minute 40 seconds to a minute 20. We got it back with an opportunity to go score, kind of in that window. That being said, it didn't work, so obviously it'll be second guessed.
Back middle, Zach.
Your impressions of Bo today, obviously a losing effort, but the fact that he was able to bring you back and just lead that comeback for a little bit, and your impressions of him overall today.
Yeah, he's just a warrior. The guy's a warrior. I mean, he battles every single time we step on the field. I thought he battled today. I thought he made some elite plays. At times he did some things with his legs that he hasn't had to do this season. He did really well. Really proud of his performance. I know there's a couple plays that he wants to have back, but I'll go to war with that guy any day.
All right, Ashley.
After they scored early in the second half to go up 11, you shut them out until that final drive they had. So what were some of the things you maybe changed defensively in the second at halftime that allowed you to shut them down for the most part in the second half?
Yeah, we just talked through some adjustments that we weren't executing properly. We made a couple different calls. Ultimately they were connected on some quick passing game. They were able to take advantage of us in some of the run game. We changed some of our fits there at halftime, and we're able to handle them a little bit better with those adjustments, and just didn't finish it off there at the end.
In the middle, Bill.
Dan, philosophically, obviously we've seen you go for 4th down a ton of times since you've been here, and it's worked a lot. But there have been some really high visibility situations where it hasn't in games last year and now this one. What is it about you as a coach that you want to go for those and you want to go kind of, I guess, for the jugular on those plays? And then when there are games like this where it doesn't work, does that make you rethink your overall philosophy in a big picture sense at all?
Yeah, I think I'll always go back and evaluate myself, right, and say, okay, what can I do different? That being said, from a probability standpoint, how we felt about the looks that we were getting, we felt like we had a chance to have success in both situations, really, or all the situations today where we went 4 on 4th. We had an opportunity to call a timeout if we didn't like what we saw. There was some confusion on the last play that was handed off. We actually had a check that didn't get checked or executed properly, so didn't get that mastered. But I'll certainly go back and evaluate myself, and it's about adapting. The game's about adapting and figure out where it can be better. You take one of those field goals early on, right, and we are looking at probably a little bit different situation.
In the middle, Eric.
What's your conversation with Camden like? How do you keep his head up after a tough moment like that?
Yeah, Camden's a winner, right? I trust Camden, love Camden. That game never should have came down to that, right? It should have came down to that, and ultimately that happens. It's a high pressure situation. It's tough on a kicker, but he should not wear the blame on this. Certainly he has a job to do when he steps on the field. We've all seen Camden make that kick a million times, right? He didn't make it today. But again, a good team, and if we do the things that we can do, we might get an opportunity to face those guys again.
In the back, Matt.
Kind of just the whole team. Emotional game, a big game, and next week you have another top 25 opponent. What's just the psyche of this team right now and the importance of flushing this quick?
Yeah, our guys are hungry to get out there and get to go perform again, and we're going to be playing a lot of top 25 opponents the rest of the season, right? And it's a great thing about this schedule that we have. We got tested. I think we're going to learn a lot of things about our team throughout this week. I think we have phenomenal leadership on this team. We have guys that aren't going to quit. They're going to come to work, and we're going to go attack it.
In the middle and back, Brett.
The margins in the Pac-12 this year are so razor thin. Knowing that your destiny might not be in your own hands in this conference now, how does that feel?
Well, I think if we take care of business on the rest of our wins, our destiny, we absolutely control our destiny, right? If we win out, then we're going to put ourselves in a situation to be able to play for exactly what we think we should play for.
Far side middle, Joe.
How would you describe Penix's play tonight? And just looking at that quarterback battle today, like, did you find yourself kind of taking that in? I mean, it was so talked about going in, and it delivered, those two guys.
Yeah, he's a great player. I mean, he showed today, and like I said, he took some big hits and was still able to get up and perform. He utilizes his weapons well. He does a really good job, and it was fun seeing both those guys battle today. It was an epic game from that standpoint.
Right over here on the left.
Dan, the last 2 years, the last couple of losses, rivalry games have come down to the very end. What does it take to get over the hump and win those games that come down to the end?
Yeah, we got to win in the fourth quarter. I think we did some things well there at the end, but you're talking about being a 3rd and 1 with an opportunity to get a yard, right, and really you be in a potential victory situation, right, and getting that tough yard. Got to find a way to get that tough yard, making sure we have the right call dialed up to be able to execute that. But we're close. We're right there. And that's something that it's 100% my responsibility. We're going to get it accomplished, but we have the guys in that room to accomplish that.
In the back, Zach.
Jordan James, someone who really showed something today. What did you see from his performance overall?
I thought in general the run game was really good today. We were able to move bodies. He ran really tough. Bucky ran really tough. Those guys fight for every inch and every yard. Did a really good job of that today.
Front middle, out.
Felt like you guys were able to stretch the field there in the second half to come back. Hit a lot of deep shots. What was it? Something, a new look they were giving you, or was it an emphasis to come out of the half to hit some of those and test them deep there?
Yeah, we wanted to be able to get the ball and stretch the ball down the field a little bit. They played a little bit tighter to the box there when we became a little bit more of a run-heavy team too, and that's where you have to be able to stretch them vertically, and we were able to connect on some of those.
Back right here.
Yeah, when you just talk about this week learning a lot about yourselves without even having to look at the film, what's one thing that's the most important thing to you that you want to get better at this week heading into another top 25 opponent next week?
Yeah, it's hard to answer that question without looking at the film. Again, I think execution is probably something that stands out. We're going to look back and see this small mistake, hurt us here, this small mistake hurt us here. We're going to be able to go execute, and then that's probably the number one.
Front right, Ashley.
Obviously, there's a lot of season left to play, and there's a lot of, like you said, top 25 opponents coming up. But how hungry do you think these guys are to maybe make it to Vegas and want to see these guys again and get another shot at them?
Well, the next game is the most important game, right? You don't put yourself in position to do that. These guys are hungry, right? They're hungry to go have success. There's no doubt about that. But it starts with the next game, right? It starts there. You can't start worrying about that now.
Middle, James.
To go back to the 4th and 3 then, I understand you're playing the percentages and you certainly feel advantageous there. Because you analyze the stuff so deeply, if you punt and it's even a touchback, what is the percentage, what is the marginal difference of, if they have to drive the field 80 yards with 2 minutes to go and no timeouts, you win 55, 60, 65, and you felt like you had a chance on that pass at 70-ish%? Like what are the difference between those scenarios?
Yeah, there's a difference, right? And we played to the differences, right? They, again, I think we can all look back now and say, hey, you should have punted, right? If you get the 4th down, the game's over, right? We capitalize and finish the game. So they're an explosive offense. We don't necessarily know if there's a big difference in them from 75 compared to 50 yards, but the ability they have to be able to put the ball down the field and stretch the field, we felt like it was more advantageous to be able to close the game out. Again, going back, you don't want to take the negative play on 3rd down, right? You want to be able to get, push it vertical and get the 1st down on 3rd and 1.
In the middle, Eric.
Are you pleased with the play calls in those spots, or is it just execution? What went
I'll have to go back and watch everything, but I thought both of our coordinators prepared, our guys to execute well. I think this game's 100% on me. I don't think you guys are going to look anywhere else besides me. I think every one of us can look and look at the decisions that were made today. And again, if you can make some of those decisions differently, like I said, you kick the field goal before half, you kick the field goal somewhere else, then it could have been a different result. You never know how the rest of the game is going to play out, so you make those decisions based on the information you have.
In the back, Matt.
The 4th down at the end of the half. You said you wanted to keep the timeout. Is that why you guys didn't run the ball when it was 3rd and 10?
Yeah, that's the decision that we talked about as a staff. Like that's one where you love to be able to run it in, and I think we went back and did it all over with. Again, when you're in with the way we've been running the ball, you'd love to take an opportunity to run the ball there.
Back left, Warren.
Dan, I know it's tough to look at your defense right now, but overall, how do you think they played overall, especially against Mike?
I think they're an explosive team that we just played, and they're going to have some success. I thought they, were able to toughen up in the second half and execute the way we were asking them to execute and be able to execute the calls. I mean, you're going to go back and again see on film some, miscommunication that hurt us in the first half. But overall, I thought those guys battled and they fought tough. You know, he doesn't make it easy for you to have opportunities to get hands on him, and he does a good job throwing guys open and finding the open receiver. He did a really good job of that today.
Time for two more, James.
Two of the receivers have 100-yard days. They've done that to a lot of people. How did you feel like your secondary matched up with them? And any initial word on Jaleel and what looked like a right hand, wrist kind of situation?
Yeah, I don't know yet on Jaleel. Overall, I thought there was a lot of guys that rolled in their secondary for us today, and I thought our guys, you know, battled. There's some of those battles we want to have back, right? They made some phenomenal contested catches where, hey, that's good coverage. Their guy made the play. And then there's some times where we were able to break it up. You know, you hope at the end of the day we did feel like you have to have bodies on these guys to be able to break some of those up. And they won more of those battles today.
Last question on the left here.
Yeah, it's sort of the same question just about Troy and what he gave you guys today, especially that 49-yarder to kind of spark the offense. Just what did you make of his performance overall?
Yeah, from what I saw from Troy, I thought he battled, you know, from the beginning of the game all the way to the very end. Worked his every living tail off to give us a chance to have success.
Thank you, Coach.